All right, welcome everyone. Think of this as our book club for today, and our text is this fascinating paper tackling a massive question, AI ethics. Now, the whole world is talking about this, right? It's a huge conversation. But, and this is a big but, it's often dominated by just one perspective. So today, we're going to dive into a different one, an Islamic ethical framework for AI. Let's jump right in. So, the paper kicks things off with this really powerful question. We all see it. AI is completely changing our world. But whose values does it actually reflect? I mean, it's so easy to forget that AI is a neutral. It's built by people, and it's absolutely packed with their values. And the point the paper makes is that right now that ethical compass is largely shaped by a Western, secular worldview. So what does that mean for, say, the quarter of the world's population that's Muslim? Or, get this, the 4/5 of all of humanity that identifies with a religion? That's a huge question.
And yeah, that question leads us straight into the first big idea from the paper, what the authors call AI's ethical blind spot.
And the scale of this thing is just massive. I mean, AI is everywhere now, right? In our hospitals, our banks, even our governments. And yeah, it's got incredible promise, but it also comes with some really serious challenges. Think algorithmic bias, privacy violations, you name it. And people are definitely noticing. The number of papers on AI ethics is just skyrocketing. But here's where it gets really interesting. The data shows that in 2024, more than half of all AI ethics papers came from just one country, the United States. Now, the authors are clear. This isn't a critique. It's an observation. It just means a truly global technology is being guided by a pretty local conversation.
Okay, so how have Islamic thinkers been tackling this? Well, the paper points out that the go-to approach has been to look at Islamic law. But this brings up a really crucial tension. The difference between just following the rules, the letter of the law, and really truly embodying its spirit.
And this really gets to the heart of it all. The paper lays out two super important concepts, akhlaq and fiqh. Now, you can think of fiqh as jurisprudence. It's all about the outward stuff, the actions, the rules, the legal rulings. It asks, what can I do? What's allowed? But then there's akhlaq. And that's ethics. It's about your inner character, your intentions, your spiritual state. It asks a totally different question. Why should I do this? The paper uses a fantastic analogy here. It says they're like physics and chemistry. They're different disciplines for sure, but they're also deeply, deeply related.
So when people use that legal toolkit, that fiqh approach, the main tool they pull out is this framework, Maqasid al-Sharia. And to put it simply, it's all about focusing on the big picture, the ultimate goals or objectives of Islamic law. The whole point is to preserve 5 core values: faith, life, intellect, lineage, and wealth. So when a new technology like AI comes along, the question is pretty straightforward. Does this thing uphold or does it undermine these core objectives?
But, and this is the crucial point the paper makes, relying only on this legal framework has some serious limitations. For one, it can turn ethics into just a checklist. You're so focused on the outcome that you forget to ask about the morality of the intentions behind it. And what's more, it can even be twisted to justify what states or big corporations want to do. But the biggest risk? It treats ethics like some kind of optional extra, a nice-to-have enhancement, instead of what it should be, the absolute foundation of everything.
And this quote from the philosopher Taha Abdurrahman just nails it. The Sharia, it's not just a list of legal prescriptions, not just a rule book. It's a path toward ethical elevation, toward becoming a better person. And if you only look at it through that legalistic lens, you completely miss this deeper, transformational spiritual core.
So, that brings us to the paper's big idea. If law alone isn't going to cut it, what's the alternative? Well, the answer is a framework that's not about rules, but about responsibility. It's called the ethics of trusteeship. And this whole framework, it's built on one single, incredibly powerful concept from the Quran, amana, the divine trust. So what is it? It's this idea that all of humanity has been given a sacred trust to act as ethical stewards, as caretakers of all creation. And honestly, this one concept, it changes everything. It completely reframes our role. We're not just supposed to be followers of rules anymore. We are active trustees, given this incredible dignity, but also this profound responsibility to take care of the world.
Okay, so what does this responsibility actually look like? Well, the framework breaks it all down into 3 foundational covenants or promises. First, you've got the ontological covenant. That's our responsibility to a higher purpose, to God. Second, there's the epistemological. This is our responsibility to knowledge and to truth. And third, the existential covenant,
which is our responsibility to the world right here in front of us, to all of creation. And I really love this visual here, because it shows that these three covenants, they're not just some flat checklist. No, they form a whole three-dimensional ethical space. You can take any AI application, I don't care if it's a healthcare algorithm or a financial tool, and you can place it right in the middle and evaluate it along all three of these axes. We're forced to ask, how does this thing impact our spiritual accountability? What about our intellectual integrity? And what about our practical stewardship of the world? It covers all the bases.
Okay, so that's the theory. It sounds great, right? But the real test of any framework is, does it actually work in the real world? So let's get practical. Let's see how this new vision actually applies.
Now, I know this chart might look a little dense at first glance, but don't worry. It's basically a map. It shows how that big, high-level philosophy of the three covenants gets translated into really concrete, practical guidelines for specific industries. You can see them right at the top, flowing down into what we need to do with AI in the real world.
All right, to make this super clear, let's just zoom in on one of these. Let's pick healthcare. How would this trusteeship framework actually guide AI development in the world of medicine?
So this is how it works in practice. Let's break it down. Ontologically, that means any AI in healthcare has to protect the sanctity of life and the inherent dignity of every single patient, period. Then, epistemologically, well, that means we have to use diverse data sets to get rid of bias, and we have to use explainable AI so that doctors and patients can actually understand and trust what's going on. And finally, existentially, it means building systems that are energy efficient, and maybe most importantly, making sure these amazing AI tools are available to everyone, not just the rich. You see how it gives you a complete ethical picture? It's not just one thing.
All right, so as we start to wrap up our discussion of this paper, let's boil it all down to the key ideas. If this were our book club meeting, these are the big takeaways that want to make sure we all walked away with. First off, Islamic ethics is so much more than just a set of laws. It's a deep moral philosophy. It's akhlaq. Second, this whole trusteeship idea offers a really powerful holistic alternative. It roots everything we do in our responsibility, to God, to knowledge, and to creation. And finally, and this is key, this isn't just some abstract philosophical exercise. It gives us a practical guide, a roadmap, for steering AI towards a future that is more just, more equitable, and more dignified for every single one of us.
And that leaves us with this final, really powerful question to chew on. The paper argues that we've been asking the wrong thing. We shouldn't just be asking, what can AI do? We should be asking, what does AI ask of us? Because as its power just grows and grows, the real challenge, it isn't technical, it's human. What does it truly mean to be a worthy trustee of this unbelievable, world-changing technology? That's definitely something for all of us to think about. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.